And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
And Katie.
Happy Friday. Happy we're coming up on the last week of the season already.
Yep, last week of the regular season.
Holy smokes. Here we go. I feel like we got a big episode coming. There was some controversy in the Discord this week. I maybe some more controversy around the state. But first, our sponsor, they're having a big month as well. They're giving away barbecue. They're giving away barbecue sandwiches. If your name is Jim or what was it?
Iris.
Jim or Iris, if you go in with your ID, a little bit of proof, you get past the TSA check-in, you get a free pulled pork barbecue sandwich. Not a big deal, thanks to our friends who have been helping us all season at Old Southern Barbecue.
And
Go ahead.
Think Jim, if it's James works too. Jim/James and Iris, I believe that is the grandparents of the big man, and they're honoring them during barbecue month. So if you have one of those two names, you luck out and you do get a free pulled pork sandwich, which is pretty cool.
I did send this to my grandpa Jim. So hopefully he'll go in and cash in his free sandwich. And then don't forget, if you're looking for any barbecue supplies, now we're in kind of barbecue season at home too. Check out their store. They got a bunch of supplies. They've got rubs. They've got sauces. We just reviewed a new sauce last week. DTA 15 will get you 15% off on all of that stuff, as well as their swag. I'm rocking their sweatshirt, super comfy sweatshirt. I rock it probably about every other episode. It's a good sweatshirt. Go ahead.
This isn't like piped in as like trying to sell merch for Old Southern Barbecue, but it is a sweatshirt. It's the perfect softness and weight. It's not too heavy, so you're not like dying when you're like sitting there, not in like maybe you're inside. It's like it's just a good weight. It's heavier than a long sleeve shirt, and it's lighter than a normal sweatshirt. So
yeah, if you're looking for like a big heavy sweatshirt, this isn't the sweatshirt for that occasion. But I agree, Ted. If you're looking for just a light, soft, comfy sweatshirt,
yeah,
this is exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
No, that's funny. And I was gonna say again, none of this is just all off the cuff. I've been ripping their chicken rub. I've been trying their rubs, trying their sauces, working through everything that they gave us to try this week. Big meal prep guy. I meal prep chicken and rice for my lunches. I've been using their chicken rub. Really good. Really good. It almost smells like kind of Greeky, Katie.
Yeah, some oregano or something in there.
Didn't you smell it, Katie? Do you agree? Do you disagree? You're not going to add any?
Did I? I don't remember that, but yeah, I thought it was kind of spicy.
No, it's just good. It's got a lot. It
Yeah.
punches a lot of, punches a lot of flavor. It's packed with punch. Yeah, no, that's all I got. So
what I like about them is like no free ads, but the meat church ones are so big. I like that theirs are like a normal size spice
like
container.
Volume wise.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
That like they fit in the cupboards and the spaces that the spice are supposed to go.
Important. That is important. It's funny, PMAC, before we get started in the games, you did say like, oh, this is off the cuff. I do want to note that we are not professional podcasters or radio show hosts, and 99% of the things that we talk about, lacrosse or non-lacrosse, is off the cuff. So when I get messages from people saying we have an agenda to like diss their team or like hide that Prior Lake might be good, all these things, there's no agenda. This is like a conversation that maybe we'd have over text message and we just decide to record it. Like this is not like, all right, we're gonna make everybody think that this team's really bad and then we're gonna storm through the playoffs. Like it's just the funniest thing that people think there's like an agenda to like destroy teams in Minnesota or like hide our own teams. It's just the funniest thing.
I don't even have an agenda when I wake up most
Yeah.
mornings. So,
It's
no, I
funny.
agree. We didn't go to, I don't know, podcaster school. Is there, can you major in podcasting
Broadcasting
yet?
school.
Broadcast.
Yeah, broadcasting, but can you major in podcasting? Do they have that program yet?
And nowadays, there might be, honestly. I mean, there's colleges that give scholarships for gaming. So,
True.
like on the gaming team or the, Madden team or whatever. So things have changed since I was in college, since you were in college, Katie
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no agenda, but I do also, we got an email, a good email in the down the alley email inbox from a Stillwater parent, Stillwater girls parent, giving us kind of a recap of the Stillwater White Bear game. And she had feedback about, you know, like here's like kind of what happened because we were all shocked last episode saying like, wow, like White Bear Lake out of nowhere beat this, Stillwater team that I know I was really promoting and pumping and thought they were great. And we were like shocked by the score. And she gave us some notes on the game and was like, we would love, she wasn't saying we were wrong, but her feedback was we'd love to know more about the game deeper than just the score and that it's shocking. And I agree that we'd love to know everything about every game, but it's just not like we don't have a beat writer for every school to give us the recap. But that is why we say like, hey, scores don't tell the whole story, but this was notable. But go watch the film if you're, if you want to know more.
And we do have, it's not that we don't have any sources. We have sources and we talk to our sources as much as we can and as much as they'll tell us.
Yeah.
And we're at the fields quite a bit. But there's a lot of fields out there. There's 20 to 40 plus fields a night that we could be at. Us three clearly can't be at every single one. So, we're out there quite a bit. We're out there probably a lot, you could say, but we're not everywhere. So I would agree. We get as deep as we can on the things we can. We can't just, hey, we can't make up an agenda and make up a script. That would be way too crazy. That would come up with more planning than what we do.
And for that Stillwater White Bear game, because we did talk about it quite a bit last week, it does sound like the Stillwater team got a red card or multiple or the double yellow or whatever it is where they
Four yellow. I think it's 4 yellows in a game.
and they were playing one woman and 2 women down, I believe it sounds like, for a lot of that game. So I mean that will neutralize any team, right? If you're playing with one less player or 2 less players. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still a great win for White Bear. That feels like ages ago, and it was like a couple weeks ago. And we obviously have a lot to talk about moving forward, but wanted to shout that out. I appreciate that particular parent giving us info on the game, so we could make note of it.
And like that, if you've got, insight into an upset or a score that might have been surprising, shoot us an email. Tell us kind of what the story of the game was, because we'd like to know and we'd like to share it.
With that, we'll start with the girls as usual. Where do you want to start? I guess we start Friday the 9th. Or sorry, the 10th, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't even, like we said, we don't write this down, so we don't remember even what kind of the big games were, but the Stillwater Woodbury game, speaking of Stillwater, 13-11 Stillwater over Woodbury. Nice fight by Woodbury. Sounds like a great game. I don't have notes on that game.
Right.
But that's a nice like a conference battle, which I'm sure 2 teams that know each other pretty well, maybe play club lacrosse with each other in the summer. But nice win for Stillwater, but good fight by Woodbury, who, might be kind of sneaking up during sections here.
I think another one scrolling down, Park and Eastridge, 6-5.
Oh yeah, that was 5 overtimes.
And
Five
6-5.
5 overtimes. Um, Unbelievable game. There were some clips that surfaced of that. Just sounds like, it's just one of those things where nobody could hit their shots, and it just kind of went on and on and on. Park did end up getting the win, 6-5. Great win for Park. I feel like I know they were high on our lists in the preseason as sort of a favorite in their section. They kind of fell off the radar. I don't know for what reason. It wasn't intentional. I just feel like, okay, like they're just kind of out there, but really nice win for them. And then we'll talk about them later with another nice win a couple nights ago. But Park of
Yeah,
Cottage,
it's looking like their only loss is Stillwater.
yeah, they're 9-1. So like I guess I don't know why they kind of just flew under the radar, kind of fell off the map for a little while. They did lose 11-5 to Stillwater, but outside of that, I mean, they've been pretty strong. I mean, they they've given up except for this Stillwater game. I mean, look at their defense. They gave up 2,
Yeah.
2, 1, 4, 4, 5, 2, 7. I mean, that is insane defense across the board. So shout out to them. They say defense wins championships. So
Apparently, yeah, it definitely makes you 9-1.
if uh,
Another team we haven't really talked a lot about is Elk River Zimmerman girls. They went to state last year, I believe, but couple losses this year, but they were one on the docket from Friday that I just scrolled down to. So we know they're big listeners, and they happened to win on Friday night against St. Michael Albertville. So
yeah,
shout out to them.
yep, that's a nice section win for them. On to Saturday, unless you have anything else to add there.
No, nothing to add yet.
Saturday we had a lighter slate, 11 games. Um, just I think, the game, there's actually 2 games that stand out to me. I'll go down to the bottom. Eastridge 13, Woodbury 12. So Woodbury again is kind of right there with teams that are, I would consider, top teams in state, a top 15-ish, I would say, in and out of the top 10 at times. Um, didn't get the win.
I mean, 1-goal games are
Yeah.
not comfortable for me. Like
And
that can go any which way another time.
yeah, and Eastridge, nice rebound battle win after a 5 overtime game the night before, having to
Right.
play the next day against, another. I mean, that's a rivalry game, Eastridge and Woodbury. I mean, they're the high
Yeah.
school in the same city, so it's
Yeah.
like that's a emotional game, and Park is also a part of that school district. So they played 2 basically rivalry games back-to-back nights. And I think both were on the road too. So nice. They lost to Park, but they rebounded and got the win versus Woodbury. So shout out to them. Um, Actually, I have one more before we'll bump to you, Katie. But Lakeville South, Stillwater, we knew that would be a big matchup. South just again exerting their dominance over everybody. 16-4. Uh, it's just they're just like the Red Army. I mean, they're just a machine. They're skilled, they're athletic, they're talented, they're well coached, they're motivated. All the acronyms of great teams, they have it, and they showed it again. So, undisputed number 1 at this point, taking down, a good Stillwater team and with ease, it seemed like.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely shows that they haven't really run into anybody who gave them a big test yet. So, shout out to them.
Yeah, and then I'll let you guys kind of take this one, but Prior Lake Eden Prairie was another game on our list. 2 top 10 teams. Prior Lake winning 16-12. So that was a close-ish game. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know if it was 16-1 and the backups went in. I don't know if it was Prior Lake had to make a comeback. You can add more notes as you feel fit there, but looking at this, kind of tells me Eden Prairie, after that first game loss to Orono, is one of the better teams in the state this year.
It definitely proved it. It was not a battle of 16-1 and they came back. It was pretty close. I don't think Prior Lake was down ever, but I do think it was tied at moments. EP is the EP we know and love. They don't give up easy. They're, again, very skilled. It wasn't like it was kind of a battle both ways. A lot of goals obviously were scored. So there was a lot of draw controls. The EP team came out at half. I have no idea what the score was at half. Again, that was like a week ago now. And came out and scored like 4 fast break goals right away in the third quarter, second half. And that was actually referenced last night in our game against Rosemount, that the girls kind of made a joke about it, that they kind of didn't know what hit them. We were trying some new things, but overall, I think it was just an EP team that always proves to show up when they need to. I think whatever we were doing, whatever they were doing, they're definitely not a team that you ever should underestimate. I feel like this year they're kind of more like sneaky than really anything else, that it's like we kind of underestimated them at the beginning of the season, and now they've come out and played right with us. They still have really dominant players, very well coached, definitely like know what they're doing. And like I said, they did not give up easy. So they were right down our throats. So that's kind of a testament to, like you said, kind of about Lakeville South, like the motivation and the attitudes. Because I think at some point we were up by like 5 goals or something. I got to go back and look, and they came back and just chipped away. Like I said, they got 4 fast ones and, kept themselves in the game. Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah.
They're always a really good opponent.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about girls lacrosse, but I was on MN Lax Hub and they posted like 2 articles this year, and one of them was about Eden Prairie girls lacrosse.
Yeah. Yeah. So there obviously there's something there. I do want to shout out one more team. I'm not going to go into detail yet because I think there's a better game to feature, but Chisago Lakes girls are at 10-0 right now. They did win on Saturday against Anoka 10-4. They are 10-0. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a few minutes, but sneaky 10-0. Not as tough of a schedule as some of these inner metro teams that have been kind of beating up on each other, but 10-0 is 10-0. We'll bump to Monday.
One more thing about our the love-hate relationship between the coaches and the refs. We had a moment in the EP game that and we love our refs. It definitely brings a different perspective when you get to know them. It kind of, and our coaching staff really tries hard to be really respectful, get to know their names. We see the same refs 3 times a week. In the Prior Lake EP game, there was an inadvertent whistle by the ref when we were on a fast break, and she thought we called a timeout, and both sidelines absolutely went nuts, kind of gave her some grief for it. So that was something that it has been referenced and joked about now, I think every game so far since then. All the refs know about it. Refs came up to me and mentioned it and told us about it. And the rule book goes, our player was right at the top of the 8 on a fast break. No one defended. The girls stop. Ref comes over, says, "Didn't you call a timeout?" And coach was like, "Why would I call a timeout on a fast break?" And we joke that the refs never hear us when we do call a timeout. So why would they think when we were on a fast break? And the girls' rule goes that she is on inadvertent whistles go to the dot And I don't even remember if she scored off of that. I got to go back and watch the film, but it's been referenced now with all three ref groups that have come up to in the game since then. And everyone makes mistakes, and refs are definitely given a tough job, but it was one of those moments in a game where we just kind of lost our minds. Laugh about it now, but we all have them.
Yep.
Moving on to Monday.
Yeah, moving on to Monday. Just kind of scrolling here. Champlin Park 12-4 over Elk River Zimmerman. We know that Elk River Zimmerman maybe is I won't call it a rebuild. I think that would be insulting to them. Maybe down a little bit compared to what they were last year. Whereas I think Champlin Park, this says more about Champlin Park to me being like as dominant as we thought they were going to be. And they're really, I think they're undefeated as well. They are 11-0. So Champlin Park, that a really statement win for them. Let me see. There was one that I saw.
I was talking to a source, not the source, but a source last night, actually about the Elk River Zimmerman girls lacrosse program. According to a source, they are huge fans of the pod, huge fans of the Mrs. PMAC. I guess they were talking, like somebody in the distance was talking about the podcast, and the Mrs. PMAC came up in the distance of the source that I'm talking about, not the source, a source. No, it was kind of fun to hear. I guess they're big fans of the pod. They're having a good season. They're beating a lot of teams that I think that they should be beating. I think Champlin's for real. Like Champlin's we have them at like 5-ish, 4-ish.
Yeah.
They had a tight one against Maple Grove and Minnetonka. So, I think Elk River is a team that could maybe make some noise in 2 weeks come playoff time.
I would agree with you.
Not only that is news to me that they're fans of me, but they will forever be fans of JP.
If
JP, but they were JP's biggest fan.
Yeah.
I do know that their captain from last year, Adria, did really well in her first year at American. I believe she's going back. They had a good time. So shout out to freshmen coming home from college are coming back to some games, and that's fun. So shout out Elk River Zimmerman girls.
I think the game that I personally had my eye on, kind of on how it was going to go, was Cretin Durham Hall Chanhassen. Cretin has been sort of entering the chat, as we like to say, like, oh, hey, like I think they just cracked the top 10. They've had some close games with really good teams. They've had some nice wins. Chanhassen is maybe, not as powerful as they were last year, but Chanhassen wins 15-8. That's a big win for the Storm to get back on track against a good Cretin team. On the road too, at the concrete jungle, as Coach Horrigan likes to call it. And so a big win for the Storm. I think that's one of those moments as like a coach or a team in a season where it's like you can kind of recalibrate and say like this might help us turn things around, and it's something we can look at as like a positive, a big win, whatever. So nice win for the Storm. And then Maple Grove Centennial, a little Northwest Suburban Conference battle. Maple Grove 11-10, close game.
I'm really surprised by this score.
I would have thought maybe, Maple Grove wins that by more if I had to guess a prediction. But great fight by Centennial, and those are two teams that play each other a lot. So I kind of like, interconference rivalry games. I don't know if they're like a rivalry necessarily, but I feel like those two schools match up quite a bit in like sections and conference and stuff in other sports too. So like you kind of throw records out the window, and good battle, close game. Probably was a fun one on Monday night. On to Tuesday, 24
games. I I was what do we say? I was on the short end of the stick on Tuesday as my B game didn't get assigned refs because we were at a ref shortage.
Did you
I was told we scrambled last minute and I found two Prior Lake alum
there
to
you go.
come and ref so that I didn't have to. And because we knew that there were just so many games that some games got bumped. So I'm glad mine got to play out. But definitely a ref shortage. Like I said, if you're looking for a summer job or to make some side hustle money, definitely get into roughing because you'll be busy and you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah. Story of the day for me on Tuesday, looking at this, is the 1-goal games. We have Columbia Heights beating Minneapolis 11-10. We have Rogers beating Hopkins 10-9. We have Moorhead beating St. Michael Albertville 12-11. Chaska Bloomington Jefferson. That was not a 1-goal game, but Chaska 15, Jefferson 15. That's a huge win for the Chaska Hawks.
Huge win for Chaska.
Jefferson's pretty good this year, so that's a nice conference win for them. I thought there was one other 1-goal game. Okay, no, so that was it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the Chanhassen Storm, who we talked about for the last night, they had to go turn around after a big game against Cretin and play the Benilde St. Marcus Red Knights. And Benilde taking advantage of that back-to-back, winning 16-1. Don't sleep
Speaking
on
of close games, though, Cretin's Benilde score was not. It was close. It was like a 2-goal game or 3-goal game.
It was 15-8, I think. We just talked.
Just kidding.
But Benilde, obviously they lost to Lakeville South, and I think that kind of like everybody's talking about South now. But don't sleep on the Red Knights. I mean, they're still
obviously dominant
as anyone. And beating Chan, I think we maybe would have expected that, but by the margin that they did, they're still very much a state championship contending team. I think that there wasn't any other like crazy scores that like jumped out to me as like shocking on Tuesday. So we can move to Wednesday.
I was a little not shocked. That's too much of a word. Minnetonka beat Edina 15-9. So Minnetonka having a heck of a season, losing to only EP 15-10. So that could be a very interesting section tournament.
Yeah. Moving to Wednesday, speaking of Elk River Zimmerman, 16-4 win over a good Andover program. So that's a nice bounce back for them. Another couple 1-goal games. Forest Lake 10 over Irondale 9. That's a fun game. Armstrong, Robbinsdale, Armstrong, Cooper 5, Matamidi 6. So a 1-goal game there. Park Cottage Grove in our game of the week against Cretin Durham Hall wins 8-7. Eastridge 10-6 over White Bear Lake. And then, as I talked about before, a team that is kind of flying under the radar, Chisago Lakes wins 12-11 against St. Croix Prep, coming down here to the cities. And I mean, I guess you could say Chisago Lakes is,
I guess so, but
close enough. I mean, nowadays you could call that like part of the Twin Cities, like suburbs, maybe. They might not think that, or they may take that as offense. I don't know, but not too far of a drive. But coming down to St. Croix Prep, winning 12-11, they're 10-0. So
I love 1-goal games. I mean, I don't love them, but like that's really fun to see for such like a Chisago Lakes, like these programs, like even Cretin Park. Those are fun games to play.
Yep. Thursday, 23 games on the schedule.
Yeah.
Of ref shortages. I don't know if this caused another one, because this was one less game than on Tuesday. The big one for me that stands out: Minnetonka 17, Orono 16. Minnetonka, I I guess that's a section win, so that's going to help section seeding for them, which
Oh, sure.
I think with that section 2 seeding, I have to go back and look. Did EP beat Minnetonka this year?
Yes.
And-
EP was Minnetonka's only loss.
Okay, so EP beat Tonka, Orono beat EP, and now Tonka beat Orono. So in the
Oh dear. They're going to be arguing for a while.
in section 2, we're going to have, well, not we, those
Yeah.
Hoosiers are going to have a long night ahead of them when section seeding comes out, unless something else crazy happens in the next week. Because kind of
Everyone only has like one game left.
they seem to have like one or two, one loss, maybe two losses, and they all have beat each other head to head in a weird tiebreaker way. So, great win for the Skippers. Let's see here. Jefferson beats Blake 15-13 last night.
Wow.
That's a great bounce back for them.
Yep.
Blake is a strong program, so nice win for them. All right, let's see. The Gensler Sisters Showdown.
Yep.
Lakeville North 9, Farmington 8. So that was a 1-goal game.
That one get heated? Was there any fights? Any chick
No,
fights?
but I heard
Coaches
I did get
fights?
some no coach fights, but I did hear there was a card. They Farmington carded out. So they played down, I think, for a whole quarter.
Yeah.
No, the rest of the quarter.
If you were somebody that lives in the Lakeville area and you decided to go to Lakeville North High School around 5:30 p.m. last night and stay until about 9:30 p.m., you were treated to 2 1-goal games. We'll talk about the boys, I'm sure, in a little bit, but the boys game was a 1-goal game, and so was the girls game. So that is a fun night of lacrosse at Lakeville. Prior Lake 15, Rosemount 4. Not surprised Prior Lake won. I am surprised by the margin that they did. I thought Rosemount, and I still think Rosemount is a solid team that has proved themselves this year, but I think that is we talk about statement wins against good teams. Prior Lake, statement win against a good Rosemount team.
We unfortunately they've had a tough week. They lost to Lakeville South, obviously, because everybody does, on Tuesday, and their best player went down with a knee injury. A 9th grader, she's a twin. Both twins now, I think, are awaiting some knee surgery. So I don't know if that's a genetic predisposition on some. They should maybe jump into a twin study.
Hey, looking at the positive, they're gonna hit their deductible this year.
Their parents are gonna hit their deductible for sure. The last thing, I don't know if it was her ACL, but both twins, their 9th graders, make a big impact on their field, and now they are both out. So they have some other really good players. Emma Thiessen, they call her Tall Emma, going to St. Ben's. She is really dominant on their field. Aubrey Zahn, the draws were great. Goalie's great. So I agree that I don't think, it's just been kind of a tough week for them. I don't think we should count them out. They've definitely had some adversity here with injuries, but it's always a fun game for us. It was our mental health awareness night, like you've said, Ted, coaching staffs that are close with each other. So kind of a sucky schedule draw for Rosemount this week, I will say that, but it's always a fun night. All 3 teams come out. It's a fun day.
Yep. So looking ahead, the last week of the season, we do have a couple games on the weekend, but I think most things wrap up on Thursday. We'll start with tonight. I guess for me, a game to watch, BSM Maple Grove, a Section 5, a rematch of the Section 5 final last year.
Oh, right.
Probably, interesting that they're playing the last game of the season, or maybe they might have one more after this, but that could impact seeding. I think it's one of those weird ones where it's like, do you play straight up and just kind of say whatever happens happens? Do you try to win this game? What do you want to show? What don't you want to show on film? But that should be, I expect Benilde to win that game, but a section competitor that over the years, I think that game should be a fun one. And then Stillwater Chanhassen, I would expect on paper Stillwater win, but Chan has been gritty against good teams this year. Stillwater has been up and down. So, and Stillwater's traveling to Chanhassen. So, they're on a bus for an hour in traffic getting there. So, that could play a factor. Any other games tonight? I think those are the two big ones that I think.
Yeah, Chisago Monty Magic.
Oh yeah,
I expect Chisago to win, but shout out to Monty.
I like that game. That's
yeah, kind of a fun match for them.
Yeah. Saturday. I know it is Farmington's prom on Saturday, so
oh wow, that's late.
I don't think they will be playing, but and there might be some other proms, but I think a lot of them have already happened. Rosemount Eastridge, I like that matchup. I think that's going to be a fun game between two teams that are currently in the top 10. So very interesting matchup there. 10 a.m. game on Saturday.
Yeah.
A little bit of a brunch game there. You could
seriously
lunch and go watch some girls lacrosse. Gentry traveling up to Moorhead, good for them. I expect Gentry to win that game, but I like that they're making the trek up there and playing the Spuds. Other than that, Lakeville South Edina, I guess Edina has kind of maybe been quote unquote down this year compared to what they have been the last couple of years, but still not an easy out for any team. They're a sorry program. So and then I think the big one for me on Saturday is Blake Champlin Park.
Yep.
Two teams that don't play each other a lot. At least I wouldn't expect them to. Maybe they do, but Champlin has been, like PMAX said, they're for real this year. Blake is not is not going anywhere. They haven't gone anywhere ever. So that's an interesting matchup as well to kind of see where those two teams.
That's going to be an interesting score. Like, is it going to be a low scoring game? Is it going to be a really high scoring game? Is it going to be one goal? Is someone going to blow someone out? I don't know. That's going to be a really interesting score to look back on.
On to Monday. I really like this Southwest Christian Minnetonka game.
Yeah.
I think
that's Minnetonka, or no, just kidding. We play them again. So, play them this week.
That'll be, I think Southwest Christian is 11-0. And this is going to be, in my opinion, their toughest test. And Minnetonka, they've proven that they're for real this year, and they're 10-1. So that's a heavyweight battle right there. Between two teams. I think Tonka plays a tougher schedule over the course of the year, but we'll see how that one goes. St. Croix Prep Holy Angels. I feel like that game already happened. Do they play twice?
In that conference they play twice.
Okay. I feel like because the Holy Angels played Visitation and when we were going through as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, not that already happened, but
yep, they play everybody twice.
Maple Grove Andover on Monday night. I think that will be an interesting game. Anything else? Anything else that catches your eye here?
Those were the ones that I was kind of caught on as I scrolled down.
Do we have go on to Tuesday? I'm gonna check something real quick here. Because we're getting to that point where conferences are starting to be won and lost.
So speaking of that, I was going to save that for kind of the in between. But if we want to start jumping into that for the girls, that was actually a requested topic this week, is to, talk about and shout out conference champs, or, if there's conference championship games this upcoming week, kind of
Yep.
shout those out.
Good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of scrolling through. It looks like Lakeville's all right. We'll just go through. It looks like Owatonna won the Big Nine. I don't think they can lose it at well, maybe they can. They only have played 10 games. And Mankato's only played 8 games. That's crazy. It looks like Owatonna's in the driver's seat here for the Big Nine. Monticello, Chisago Lakes. It looks like that is
Oh,
the Greater West Metro.
didn't even know it. And that will be the 10-0 Chisago Lakes. Yeah, might take down the Monty Magic for the
Yeah, it looks like
Greater West.
Monticello's 5-1 in conference. I'm just looking at who they lost to. They've lost to Buffalo. They did lose to Chisago already.
Oh,
So I don't, maybe that's for a share of the title. They're listed first in the standings, so I don't know why. Maybe they just played more games. Chisago's 10-0, Monticello's 6-4. But Monticello is 5-1 in conference, but Chisago's 3-0. So I think if Monticello wins that game, they'll get a share of the Greater West Metro. Blake is the IMAC champ, it looks like. Any others? Is there any specific who was there a specific shout out or request of a certain conference that we need to look at?
No, they just wanted kind of statewide because, maybe there's might be 2 or 3 big conferences that are just discussed more than others.
Yeah.
So just kind of ripping through, all of them in general.
Yeah. Looks like Hill Murray won their conference. So
if Holy Angels beats St. Croix Prep, they might take the spot in the Tri Metro.
So here's what I think we should do, because I would need a pen and paper here to go through this to figure out like remaining games. We'll table this conversation for right now.
Okay.
We'll do a write-up. We'll do a write-up on the website. I'll get the source on the girls' side, and I'll do it for the boys, and we'll get an article up so that we can make sure that we have our facts correct. Or else I think we'd spend 45 minutes here trying to figure this out.
And next week, that'd be a good topic, like conference champs, going into sections, season recap, all that type of stuff.
I do like that feedback. I do like that idea. So shout out to whoever asked that or requested that. I think that's a great great topic.
Right on.
Where are we at here? I think
we were on Tuesday. I think we're still on Tuesday, the 21st.
Yep. So it's right at the top, 4:30 game, Park Cottage Grove versus Woodbury.
Yeah.
He's been coming on strong. Park has had a couple nice wins as of late. This is a Section 3 matchup, so this could be a preview of something that happens in a couple weeks. So that should be an interesting game. Moorhead coming down to Hopkins on a Tuesday night. That's a good travel for them on a weeknight.
I'm curious about the conference stuff.
Yeah.
Pasca and New Prague in the same conference?
Yep. I don't think that will have. They are in the same conference. I think Benilde has that locked up.
Oh, right.
West, but nothing else crazy for me on Tuesday night, in my opinion. Wednesday, we have a little bit lighter slate.
Chan versus Orono, though, could be a very interesting matchup. I think that's a fun scheduled game.
Yep, and I think Champlin Park Maple Grove is going to be a battle. Maple Grove's got Benilde and Champlin in back-to-back games.
Geez.
That is a tough end to the schedule there. And then the final, or no, that's not the final. The last weeknight of the season, I guess. There are some games on the weekend here, but EP Blake, I think that's a battle of two.
Like a legendary game. I wonder if they always end playing with each other,
what is
playing each other.
that in hockey? Is that an original 6 matchup right there? I feel like Eden Prairie, and
Gosh.
it's like
Yeah.
every state tournament for 14 straight years before someone else finally won it.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Chisago versus St. Michael Albertville. I think that will be an interesting game in the North Metro. Stillwater Edina. I'll be interested to see what that score is. Yeah, though I think those are the main ones. And then I'm just gonna look at Friday and Saturday. One game
Yeah,
on
who's the one game
Northfield, Lakeville South on Friday.
aren't they in the same section?
Are in the same section. They're gonna be playing at Northfield, so grass field for that game. And then Lakeville North plays Mankato on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. That's interesting. Must be a reschedule from
Oh my gosh.
yeah, a lot of crazy. I don't know, a lot of action. I don't even know if it's crazy, but just a lot of action. I know I had a 3-game week last week, so I feel like this week has been, with it was 2 games, 2 big games for me. I haven't really been following. I barely even have time to look at the scores at night.
I know.
And so like we're kind of rambling a little bit, but hopefully we touched on and didn't miss any of the kind of big games coming up. And obviously, no matter what happens, we have playoffs in a week anyways. So like it's all going to get reset. We're all 0-0 in 2 weeks. So we can move on to the boys.
Yeah, before we go to the boys, have you ever had I was talking brats at the girls lacrosse game yesterday with some people. I actually talked brats and mustard with some refs this week as well. So brats have brought the people together. Someone was telling me about white brats at Lunds and Byerly's. They're white. Is that on anyone's radar?
Well,
I thought all brats were white-ish.
there's like they're like red or like a meat.
Like I thought they were all like whiter than like a beef hot dog.
Yeah,
Are they like wild rice ones? Like
Well, I
those
don't
wild
know.
rice ones at Von Hansen's are very white colored.
My new brat source was talking about like he was like they're white as like the trim. Like what? Like I'm talking like white. I'm not talking about light. I'm not talking about. He said they're white. I haven't done. This was literally last night. I didn't go home and start looking up brats.
Lunds has good stuff. So
I agree. Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to eat them, but you might like them.
I don't know. I have not had them, so we'll have to update on the next episode.
We'll have to check those out. I don't know. They're highly recommended. These white brats from Lunds. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure we'll get 100 text messages about them after this episode.
I have a brat question before we move on.
All right, what do you got?
So I personally like mustard on a brat, but would the new Jimmy's Original DTA sauce be good on a brat?
Okay, so funny you asked that. So I was talking to the big man after the new review, and he, glad I liked it. It was good. It was a Minnesota mild. Sounds like it's not supposed to be mild. It sounds like there's supposed to be heat. There was some sort of we lost Ted. There was some sort of mix up in the bottling or the creation. This batch came out mild, so they're gonna get me the next batch, and it sounds like the next batch is gonna have some heat because when we were all smelling it, kind of doing the pre, we cracked the bottle, and everyone was kind of like checking it out. They're like, "Oh, this smells hot," but it wasn't hot. It wasn't spicy at all. So it sounds like there's supposed to be spice. To answer your question, I think it would play. I think I'm a dipper. I think a little dip on, with the brat into that sauce on a nice summer day lakeside by PMAX Pond. I think that would go well.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, if you're a purist, I could see like someone being like, that's unacceptable, but just the flavor profile of that sauce, I think would go good on a lot of other things, not just like ribs and pulled pork, like not your
Agreed.
traditional meats. It could go good on a burger or whatever. So shout out, go get yourself a bottle. Honestly, it's really good, whether it's heat or no heat. Um, yeah, I just was thinking about that, and
Well, and Katie said last week it would go well with their links,
yes, yes, there you go.
which
So
isn't a brat, but
it's in the same family tree, I feel like. It's a sausage. So yeah, no, yeah, there you go. So on to the boys. You're having brat and mustard conversations with people during games, I feel like you or after games of your boys' games. And we have to go all the way back to last Friday. Feels like an eternity ago. The
I would agree.
Yeah, we'll start with Stillwater. I'm gonna just start at the bottom here with Stillwater Woodbury. Um, Stillwater wins 6-5. That is a conference matchup, a conference battle. Woodbury holding Stillwater to 6 is extremely impressive. And I think Woodbury was up 5-1 late in the third quarter in that game. So Stillwater doing their Stillwater things and making it extremely interesting at the end of games, and then just deciding the air raid offense is going to start going. And when it goes, it goes. And they found a way to come back and win. That would have been a huge upset. So shout out to Woodbury for keeping that close, and shout out to Stillwater for winning the game.
And not to look ahead, but I think that was the theme of Stillwater's week was close games,
Yep.
grinding out wins, and a lot of entertainment and maybe a little bit of controversy. But we'll get to that later.
Wayzata went up to Hermantown and played the Stealth, winning 13-5. So a little travel for the Trojans. And yeah, I think that wraps up Friday for me as far as anything like crazy or interesting that happened. Saturday, a light slate, only 9 games on the schedule. Both PMAC and I had games on Saturday.
Good day to have a game. Great weather.
Beautiful. It was beautiful.
As did I. I took my mom to
There you go.
EP.
We all had games on Saturday. 1-goal game between St. Paul, Two Rivers, and Providence Academy. 10-9. The Ducks win. So that's a close one. Farmington and Mankato, we always play on a Saturday in May. Those guys come up, and actually we went down to them last year, but always fun to play Cato. I have a lot of respect for their program. They play us hard all the time. And you know, they're just continuing to get a little bit better. They had a tough back-to-back because they had to play Rogers in a 12-11 game the night before, and then come up to Farmington and play the next afternoon. So I always like playing against those guys. Well, I should say I don't like playing against them because they make it gritty and stressful, but I respect their program a lot. And then Prior Lake Chanhassen, that's a fun kind of out of conference battle. Looks like a close game, 11-8, close-ish game.
Yeah, no, it was very close. Pretty much, well, yeah, until the end. It was a 3-goal game. So yeah, it was close the whole way. I think they were up even by 1 at half. Back and forth, right? Kind of both teams had their momentum swings. You know, they've got some studs. You know, we have a couple goal scorers, so they were just kind of trading off, you know,
Yep.
one here, one there, two there, two here. So yeah, no, Chanhassen's for real. You know, I think they're gonna, you know, they could be a team that we see later this year, hopefully at some point. And you know, if things go right for both programs, and I think yeah, they're Chanhassen's Chanhassen. Like, it's just another year. They've got athletes, they've got they're huge. Like their players are huge. I think they got a bunch of football kids. At least that's what it looks like. Hopefully they play football too. Massive defensemen, a couple of big offensive players. One of their middies is like 6'4". He's huge, ran over our LSM. So, yeah, no, it was a good battle, great weather. Luckily, this time we ended up on the right side of it.
It was
Yeah.
a fun day. You guys had all three teams play. The girls were getting a bus. I think there was like a basketball tournament. It was kind of a fun day around campus. Like we said, it was a beautiful day. Youth in the morning. We had practice. Girls go out on their bus. You guys, yeah, had all your teams played right at the high school. So it was kind of a fun, busy-ish afternoon. It looked like it was fun.
On to Monday, a game that is interesting to me, Moorhead 11, Brainerd 6. Brainerd has had a nice season for themselves this year. They were like 1-12 or 1-13 last year. No, 1-12. How many regular season games? 13. So they were 1-13 with the one section game loss, I think. Moorhead wins 11-6 in that game. So that's a closer game than I think it would have been maybe in years past. I did get a report from a source that says Brainerd has, I'm gonna make sure I look this up correctly, but like an insane sophomore class. Like they have like 26 sophomores.
Wow.
And so things seem to be turning around in the sense of, they went from a kind of a really losing season to being, a 500 team this year. And yes, 26 sophomores on that team. So like, are they just a year away from being maybe a section competitor in their section in the next couple of years with that many kids in that class? I mean, you can only put 10 on a field at a time, but there seems to be some depth there in a good graduating class where they got 2 more whole seasons to play, and they could make noise in sections this year, honestly. Maple Grove 13, Centennial 12. That game is always a battle. And Maple Grove Centennial boys and girls both played that night to a 1-goal game. So that's
I was gonna say that was actually a surprising score for me on the girls' side that Centennial came so close.
Yep.
We have not talked about them really at all. So the fact that they were 1 goal with Maple Grove, I think that's notable.
Yeah. On to Tuesday. Again, a pretty heavy slate of 19 games. Prior Lake had Egan. That's always an interesting matchup of they're pulling your hair out trying to watch film and scout because you can't scout teams that aren't scoutable. And it probably was just one of those days. Looks like again a 4-goal game, pretty close as you can expect in the South Suburban.
Yeah,
So I'll pose this question to you guys because the girls asked about the boys game because the girls varsity was away, and then the girls asked about the boys, and I was like, oh yeah, they play Egan. And I said that I was like, well, they're hard to scout. And one of the girls on my B team was like, well, what does that mean? And I kind of couldn't describe it because like if you don't know Egan boys lacrosse, like they're the perfect description of like not scoutable. So I'll open that. How do you scout Egan? And what does it mean to tell the people why is Egan unscoutable?
So I just want to fully understand that your player didn't know what scouting means then?
She didn't know what like not scoutable means.
Oh,
like
okay.
she was kind of like, don't you just watch, like she didn't understand like how you could not scout someone.
Got it. Okay. So I'm sure Ted will have thoughts as well. Egan, as a defensive coordinator, defensive mind watching Egan play, it's street ball, right? So if you're watching a team or a backyard basketball game or a pond hockey game, like you're going out and playing pond hockey, you aren't going into the pond hockey game with a game plan. You're going out there, you're just you're wheeling and dealing, you're just playing, right? And that's the vibe. I'm sure Egan's organized in their own way, and they have their own way of doing things, and they probably have their rules or whatever on offense and their basic structure, but it 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 appears from the outside that they're much more free flowing and run and gun than your traditional Minnesota team might be. So as a defensive guy, you're watching this and you're like, you don't even know what they're doing. They're just playing, right? Like that's what it seems like. So that's what unscoutable in my mind would be is, their set play seems like it's not set. Like it could be anything. That
Yeah.
one player could end up anywhere. So how do
Yeah.
you?
And
you know
that's
what I mean?
they've made that their style.
Precisely.
Yeah, I mean, not too much to add, and like I think PMAX said it. Like I'm sure they have their game plan and their things that they do that are quote unquote structured, their rules or whatever. But it is just very much more unstructured, very free flowing, and you can't watch 20 minutes and go, okay, every time this player gets the ball, they do that. They're very much more read and react of the defense gives us this, we're going to do that. So like you can't really say we're going to do something every single time to stop them. You just have to match up against them. And so that's what I mean by they're hard to scout. And that's a compliment in the sense of like they are very okay with being different, and it makes it harder on coaches to say like, these are the things we're going to try to take away. But nonetheless, that's a good win for the Lakers, a top 10 win, another one, 11-7.
One thing, about the Egan team, and one thing that is scoutable, like they have a player who is almost unscoutable. Like you can't really, they have the best athlete or a top 3 athlete in the state at attack on offense, on a offense that's unscoutable. So shout out to Sam Simon. Like the kid's for real. Like I don't know, I'm not a voting member of like Mr. Lacrosse or naming finalists or anything, but the kid's one of the better athletes that I have seen all year. And he's a problem. He is a true problem for any defensive coordinator he goes up against.
I love that. I love that they've kind of like owned that style. And I think that at least on the girls' side, I would love girls to be a little bit more like loosey goosey and like go out and just play.
Yeah.
And kind of adopt that style a little bit more.
For sure. Benilde and Chan, a Metro West showdown. Been a pretty big game over the last few years between two very good teams. Benilde wins 10-5, so pretty close game. I didn't see it, so it could have been dominated by one or the other team. I don't know, but I think Benilde holding Chan to 5 is impressive, and Chan holding Benilde to 10 is impressive. I think that was a good defensive performance by both teams. I'm going to bump down Edina beating Minnetonka 13-11, kind of a late conference battle. They've had some really close games in years past. I'll talk about a game, Farmington. We played Eastview Apple Valley on Tuesday night. I still don't know if I've emotionally recovered from the game yet.
So that was nuts. That was nuts. And I don't know. I don't even know if we've really chatted. We had a couple text messages back and forth this week. We both, again, three game weeks. So we have not chatted a ton. I went home and threw that on after my game. What was that ride and how crazy of a game was that?
It was,
because you guys didn't score the second half, right?
no, we scored, but we didn't. I think we only scored 3 goals in the second half.
Okay.
So I thought this game, let's preface this first. Farmington has never beat the Valley since they've become the Valley. So the last 3 seasons. In 2022, we blew a 5-goal lead in the last 3 minutes of the game. And Sam Arndt, the most electrifying player, right? We have talked about him, had just decided to have a legacy game, a legacy quarter, and steal one from us. In 2023, last season, we were up by 3, I think, early and lost 8-7. So we lost 13-12 in 2022. We lost 8-7 in 2023. We come out and we have a 9-7 lead at halftime. I thought this game might get both teams to double digits. It was just one of those offensive days. We were in control, honestly, for a lot of the game, and tip of the cap to Eastview. They just capitalized on a few mistakes that we made, and when that momentum started to turn, like it turned, and the Valley. I have to shout out a couple kids on that team that I think are a little bit under the radar, or and I actually have them in my prep lacrosse write up that's coming out in probably in the next couple days. Number 2 on their team, Alex Gilbertson. He is an amazing player, and he doesn't have like the super high level stats that maybe you'd expect from a player that is of his caliber, but he makes everyone around him better, and he's willing to be someone that initiates the offense to draw slides, and he is okay moving the ball and running the system where it opens up shots for other players, even if he doesn't quote unquote get the assist. Like sometimes he might be 2 passes away. I really impressive player. And then number 12, Connor Colson. I would put him in the conversation of one of the best, if not the best, short stick defensive midfielder in the state. He locked down, like that was a matchup we could not win against them. And when you can't beat a short stick, things just get a lot harder on offense. And he was shut down. I mean, he even had 2 like takeaways. I mean, if your short sticks are not only not getting beat, but also causing turnovers, that's miserable as an offensive coordinator. So shout out to those 2 guys. Overtime was crazy. Both teams had chances, goalies standing on their heads, turnovers. It was wild. And then triple overtime, third overtime, we threw one of our seniors in who's kind of been a depth guy for us. And he beat his man, got to the middle, scored, and won the game on senior night. A guy that's just kind of been a depth guy. So that was super fun for him. And we finally escaped the Valley, but it took a lot more effort than maybe we originally had hoped or planned. But it was a super fun game, and they're a gritty team. Honestly, I would not want to have to play them ever again in the rest of the season, to be honest with you.
It's okay. They're in my section.
Yeah, so you guys can take care of them, or you guys can for the rest of the year.
God. Yeah, no. So 3 overtimes.
3 overtimes, like
So what's an extra half?
an extra, yeah, 8, about an extra 10 minutes. I think we played there, 2 4 minutes, and then we scored like 2 minutes in or a minute into the third. So yeah, it's crazy.
This Edina Tonka game, I had a couple sources there. Had some conversations with people. I guess this one was, kind of a classic late conference game of 2024. These games have all been kind of, pretty crazy. It looked like it was going to be Edina's game, even kind of late. And then Tonka, made things very, very interesting kind of in that second half, fourth quarter, and made Edina sweat it out. I think Tonka, I'm hearing Tonka is close. They've got, a couple details that they're still working through. But I think Tonka is a team that I, wouldn't want to play come playoffs. And then Edina, they've been a team that's been, grinding through, getting wins. multiple different ways. They find a way to win again here against Tonka. What do you have on this one?
Yeah, no, I saw the same, or see the same stuff. It's late conference this year, late conference pandemonium. It's just every team is right there. I think they're all very close in skill, and any given night, honestly, any given night, someone can win a game. That's a big bounce back win for Edina. I know they dropped a couple that maybe they weren't happy about, but yeah, nice battle. And I foresee that, not changing for a long time with the late conference, a lot of good programs. On to Wednesday, there was some very interesting games on Wednesday. Andover beat Chisago Lakes 15-14, 1-goal game there. Eastridge beats White Bear Lake 14-13. I tuned into the stream when I got home. It was 13-7 when the fourth quarter started, and it ended 14-13. So White Bear had a 7-goal fourth quarter. I didn't really watch much of it. I watched a few minutes. I was kind of like, oh, this game is over. And Little made the mistake of turning it off, and White Bear made it interesting. So shout out to them. I think then the game of the night, Stillwater Mounds View, a game most people, the public eye, would say Stillwater would handle easily. We've heard some rumors about Mounds View being for real this year or much better, and Stillwater wins 10-9. Was that overtime or just like last second? It looks like it was last second.
Was this the game with the controversy? I thought this was.
This was
I think this was overtime. I think this was overtime.
Overtime.
There was reports. There's videos. There's there's people on both sides of this. I'm not saying it was a goal. I'm not saying it wasn't a goal. I'm not really gonna plant my flag on either one. But there's videos that there's some people that look at that video and think it's a goal, and there's other people that look at that video and don't think it's a goal.
Yeah, so it was 9-9, whether it was OT or late in the game. It looks like Mounds View's man up, but I can't really tell. But they got the shot they wanted to get. You get the shot that you are looking for on offense.
And it goes bar down. I don't know if it goes bar down in, or I don't know if it goes bar down out. I don't know. I don't think I know.
Bar down, the net moves, it shakes. We can't. I don't think it was a goal. I'll be on that. I'll plant my flag.
You're planting your flag.
Yeah, I think it goes bar down.
You just think it was a heavy shot. You think it was a heavy shot.
It was a heavy shot. And I honestly, like I said, that's, if you're Mounds View, that's the shot you want to generate. And if it didn't go, it hit the crossbar, went right to Stillwater. They went down and scored to win 10-9. So yeah, a really great game between those two teams. Stillwater loves making it interesting. They are worth the $8 to go watch, because it doesn't matter who they play. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. So big and tip of the cap to Mounds View for playing a top 5 team straight up, and almost coming away with an upset. So that was a fun one on Wednesday night. Last night, 23 games on the schedule, just an absolute slate of games here. Where do we even start? I mean, Prior Lake, Rosemount, another, I don't even know if you call it a rival. Is it a rivalry game? I know it's a section/conference, happens a lot, battle for years.
I think it's a rivalry.
All one. You guys, another 11 set. You guys love 4-goal games, it seems like.
We love 3-4-goal games. We like to keep things close. We like to keep things interesting. Rosemount's Rosemount. Like Rosemount is Rosemount. They got a good goalie. They've got really solid defense. and they have pieces on offense. They've got
Yep.
a good Fogo.
Yep.
They've got all the pieces. They've got
Yep.
all the pieces. We had to we had to grind out a win. It was I would not call it pretty. I think there's a lot of things that were ugly, and we walked away. A win's a win, but another team that we get to see potentially in 2 weeks because they're in our section. Not a team I want to play again. They're organized. They were well prepared. You could tell that they knew the scout and they had a well organized scout and they had a game plan.
Agreed. I would say the same thing about when they played us. So
It was, yeah. I don't know what else to say. Good. It was a good game. Good weather. Not looking forward to potentially playing them again.
yeah. Speaking of rivalries, speaking of potential games that might happen again, the Tigers had to go to hostile territory, the Lakeville North Panthers. 12-11, the Tigers lose. The Panthers prevail. Another crazy game. You go into the game with, arguably one of the best players in the state against you at the faceoff X and Quinn Power, and you tell yourself and you tell the team, hey, we just got to make sure you come out flat. We can't let them get a big lead. And sure enough, it was 2-0 Lakeville North about 10 seconds into the game. So I'm like, all right, everything that we talked about is now not going according to plan. But shout out to my guys. They got 3 back. So then we took the lead, and then it was back and forth the rest of the way. North made the plays they needed to make, especially late in the game, and they scored to win with about a minute left in the game. So it was a ride. And they had a nice run in the we were up by 3 at halftime. And they had a nice run at the end of the third quarter to make it 10-10 going into the fourth. So it was a really fun game. I would expect that both teams probably were just playing that game straight up and maybe not. There wasn't a ton of unique, exotic things, knowing that there could be a potential rematch at some point in the next couple weeks. But it's always fun playing those guys. Their coaches are great. And Coach Kev, our guy Coach Kev is over there. It was nice to catch up with him and chat. So it was a fun game for sure. That was just the early slate of games. I feel like there was more as we get later in the evening. I think honestly the big game of the night was Wayzata Eden Prairie.
Yeah.
But that was for a conference championship, a late conference championship. It was 2-1 at halftime. What quote unquote a defensive battle.
Certifiably.
And there's been some chatter about low scoring games being called a defensive battle that are actually just poor offense. This is not the case here. These are 2 extremely good defensive teams.
Agreed.
Just the little that I was watching, both teams have some dudes on defense, like absolute just stud athletes. They're well coached. So I am not surprised that scoring was difficult in this game. Eden Prairie was up 4-3 late. Wayzata tied it. They win it in double overtime to take the lead.
This last game of the night, Chan Centennial. Centennial, I feel like they're marching back. We had them kind of middle of the regular season. They've had 2 close losses against good teams. I think I'm starting to earmark Centennial for playoffs.
Yep. I would agree. They're turning out at the right time. I feel like they were dealing with some injuries to top players, and now maybe they're back. Much different team when your superstars are playing. And so I would agree with that.
All right, let's pick one game a night to look forward to this upcoming week, starting Friday. My eyes and ears are all over Rogers lacrosse. They're on a run. They're undefeated. I voted for them. They're in my. I know that big discussions in Discord top 10 stuff. Rogers was in my top 10. Rogers was in my top 10. And if they keep this thing rolling, they're going to stay in my top 10.
I voted for.
I know they weren't in the DTA top 10 because there's a lot of sources, and the sources maybe don't agree with me yet. Rogers in my top 10 as long as they keep winning.
Yep, I would agree. That's the game of the night tonight. Rogers, Andover having a nice season as well.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
That should be a competitive game.
Saturday, does anybody play?
No, it doesn't.
For me, it's Egan, White Bear Lake. I think that's just going to be a super like kind of battle of the big guys.
Egan, White Bear, I feel like they've played like a late May Saturday game the last few years. Like they kind of saved that one for the end. I expect there to be penalties in this game. I feel like both teams are.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I honestly haven't really watched White Bear play that much. Maybe that's just a reputation that they have. Like Egan is gritty. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a gritty physical game. It may not be. I don't know why I think that. That's just my feeling, I guess, off the cuff feeling.
On to Monday.
Sure.
Oh, I just had it. Who was I looking at? I just had it. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm looking for me. Chan New Prague. New Prague has been a team I've been riding with, a team 7-2, a team that's beaten everybody that they quote unquote should. Can they beat a team that they shouldn't?
Yeah.
That is the question here. That is what I'm looking for out of New Prague.
I feel like for New Prague this year, we've talked about them being a team that has kind of been riding that 2025 class. They started them as freshmen and just said baptism by fire, and we're going to just roll with these guys, and hopefully by junior, senior year, it's going to pay off. It seems like it's paying off. They're having a good year. Benilde is Benilde in conference. Like, that's going to be a difficult game, but like, I feel like I think that this Chanhassen game was circled on their schedule. Would you feel like this is a game that maybe they're like, this is going to be a really good way for us to prove that we belong in the conference? And
for sure.
And yeah, I agree. I think this is the game of the night on Monday for sure.
On to Tuesday. Selfishly, I'm looking forward to our matchup. However, there's a lot of good matchups.
A lot of rivalry games.
Yeah.
Games.
For sure. This Bloomington Jefferson Edina game, though, Jefferson has just been rolling. They've been doing their thing. They've been, just winning games. Edina, they've been a little more volatile. I think this is a big opportunity for Edina to get like a bigger win, a quote unquote bigger win, as Jefferson's top 5 right now, on their resume. But Jefferson this year, like I think they're going to suffocate Edina. I think they're going to suffocate the Hornets.
I think if Edina wins this game, there's some shakeup in the seating.
Yeah, everywhere in all facets. Yeah.
If Edina wins this game, I think that's going to make the head coach seating meeting a little bit longer. There's some arguments to be made, but yeah, I think that's a great game. The other game on Tuesday night, St. Thomas Academy, Cretin Durham Hall, huge rivalry between just like
I didn't know that.
Athletic programs, not necessarily specific to lacrosse, but I went to this game 2 years ago, and St. Thomas Academy had a cannon every time they scored. They shot off a cannon. The stands were packed. Like literally both schools brought everybody. It like the atmosphere was like nothing I've ever seen in a Minnesota high school lacrosse game outside of like maybe a state final. So if you're looking for something to do, 7:15 on Tuesday, go watch the Cadets and the Raiders. I unfortunately won't be able to go. I'll be playing myself. So, but that could be a fun one. I am also looking forward to the Prior Lake Farmington matchup. I believe the winner is the winner of the South Suburban. Is that correct? Even though we lost to North last night, they have 2 losses. So I think
So it'd be the head-to-head.
Ed would bump if Farmington wins, it bumps them ahead. If Prior Lake wins, they take it. I think that it makes it interesting, and then ultimately, I'm sure both teams are, thinking about sections as well, but just a little added pressure for both teams, I guess.
On to Wednesday. I like this Maple Grove Blaine matchup.
Let me look. I haven't got to click over.
Blaine's been a team. They've been making noise. I think they've taken some nice steps this season. Maple Grove, they've been a team that they're not hiding, right? Everyone knows who Maple Grove is. They're getting everybody's best game. I think Blaine opportunity to make a little bit of noise here, maybe muck it up. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like this matchup. I think it's a game of 2 teams that know each other. It should be competitive. I think they seem to be kind of around the same level this year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And then Thursday, pretty much the last day of regular season, unless there's some reschedules that end up happening for some reason.
New Prague plays Benilde, so they got Chan Benilde back to back. Or
yeah, that's not ideal. That's a tough week.
I'm gonna go kind of outside of the metro here.
Do it.
Looking at Owatonna and Mankato, 2 teams that Farmington has played, 2 gritty teams, 2 teams kind of trending in the right direction. Owatonna has a ton of 1-goal games this year. They started the year 0-5, and they are now 5-5.
Wow.
In their first 5 games, they lost 10-11. They lost to Rosemount, 10-11 to New Prague, 8-12 to Farmington, 8-11 to Northfield, 10-11 to Andover. And then they got the 12-11 win against Mankato on Tuesday, May 7th. That's basically turned them into a winning machine. The rematch is on Thursday. I think this is an interesting Big 9 game. It has section implications for seeding. It has conference implications. I anticipate this to be a spirited matchup between 2 Big 9 Southern Minnesota schools.
Love it. Love it. This time next week, we will be talking conference champions. We will be talking probably speculation on section seedings, matchups, potentials, some speculation there.
Yep.
We're going to be talking playoffs. I hope there's some controversy. I hope there's some brat talk, some brats. I hope there's some toppings. I hope there's some salsas. I gotta find me a salsa this week.
Yeah.
Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table.
Yeah. Here we go. Last week of the regular season. Doesn't slow down.
And thank you for tuning in, riding with us all season, along with Old Southern Barbecue. Check them out. If your name is Jim, James, any iteration, along with, what's the other one?
Iris.
Go get yourself a free sandwich this month on a Tuesday in May. DTA 15 on their website. We're out.